After a mild winter and a very wet spring, we have record-breaking numbers of slugs and snails. Now you see lots of advice on slugs and snails on the internet, even in the garden center, but most of it simply doesn't work. And while you are spending time and money, your plants are still getting munched. In this video I'll talk you through the do's and don'ts when it comes to slugs and snails, so you don't repeat the mistakes from the past. But before the battle is on, let's get to know our enemy first. Because not all slugs and snails eat your garden plants. In fact, most of them feast on dead and decaying plant material and aren't interested in your plants at all. As a general rule, most slugs, like the field slug, are omnivores, and they will absolutely eat everything you put in front of them, even dead animals. As far as snails go, well, the common garden snail, which is very easy to identify by its brown shell and almost snake-like pattern, well, he's interested in your vegetables as well. While this little fellow with his distinctive yellow shell and black pattern is a lemon snail, and he's only after dead and decaying plant matter. So he's actually a friend. Slugs and snails are an intricate part of your garden ecology. They are the janitors that clean up all the dead debris and even dead animals. They are also a very important food source for many insects, amphibians, birds and mammals in your garden. So let's keep that in mind. Slugs and snails are not all bad. But once they start munching on your strawberries, well, the heat is on. So how do you get rid of that excess of slugs and snails? What are the do's and what are the don'ts? Well, let's start with some common mistakes. First of all, barriers don't tend to work. I know, you see a lot of this on the internet. There's copper tape, there's wool pellets, there's sharp grit, eggshells, coffee grounds, chili peppers, you name it, I've seen it all. Now, this is normally the moment where people jump into the comments and say, but I have used this or that and it does work for me. But this is not me saying these things are useless. This is science. The RHS in Great Britain have conducted an investigation in which barriers that are set to repel slugs and snails actually work. Their conclusion, hardly any. So stop wasting your time and money on all of these barriers they sell in garden centers, because they simply do not work. And then let's talk slug pellets. Slug pellets are chemicals that actually do one thing very well. That is, kill slugs. But they do so much collateral damage by putting chemicals into your soil and into the food chain that you might weaken your whole ecosystem. And a weakened ecosystem is the ideal target for next year's slugs and snails. So don't use slug pellets, not even the so-called biological or ecological ones. You're introducing chemicals and substances into the soil and into the wildlife around you that actually deteriorates your garden's capacity to repel slugs and snails. And while you might win this little battle this year, you're bound to lose the war in the next years. Then what can you do? Well, the good news is there are many ways that you can actually repel and combat slugs and snails. The bad news is there is no miracle cure. It is simply a matter of using all of these methods and keep up the grind. Keep up the hard work and eventually you'll come on top. While long grasses can be an enormous boon to wildlife and biodiversity in your garden, it is also an excellent hiding place for slugs and snails. Keep any grass borders out of your allotment area or away from very tender plants like hostas. Keep the grass short and trimmed so it doesn't become the next snail and slug hotel. Do keep up with weeding and do remove all decaying and dead leaf matter. Now, have you removed all of these hiding spots? Excellent. Now put one or two back. By putting up a select few of these ideal hiding spots for slugs and snails, we can easily collect them all at once. Just put a small terracotta pot over some dampened soil, just prop it up a bit with a little stick or an old crock for easy access, and you'll make an excellent trap. Now, I'm Belgian and I do love a good beer. And coincidentally, so do our slugs and snails. So a simple beer trap can work wonders as well. Simply bury a little dish into the soil and fill it with beer. Make sure it sticks up a bit above soil level so beetles and worms don't accidentally fall in. Again, the next morning you can collect your prey and refresh your beer. Now, don't worry about having to spend your excellent Belgian Trappist beers on your slugs and snails. In fact, they prefer the cheapest beer you can find. These cheap, low-quality beers often have a higher sugar content, which does wonders, luring the slugs and snails right in. So, in true Belgian fashion, I'll be using Dutch beer. Now, like I said before, there is lots of wildlife that eats slugs and snails. So do work with them, because they are your staunchest allies. Make sure you have enough hedges and trees around for birds to seek shelter and nest in. Bug hotels, wood piles, a layer of wood chips or bark are ideal shelters for carnivorous bugs and for some spider species that actually hunt and eat slugs and snails. If you have the space, do put a pond in, because a pond will attract amphibians like frogs, like toads that will munch away on those snails and slugs. And even something as simple as a hedgehog shelter can do wonders for wildlife in your garden. So don't work against them, but do work with them. One of the most efficient ways to battle slugs and snails is still to remove them manually. And now the sun is setting and it is finally getting cooler and damper, I am going on a slug hunt. Right, so I've been at it for about 10 minutes or so, nothing special, just a quick round, me and my bucket of all the allotment beds, a few pots, and well, I don't know if you can see this properly, but it is quite the catch already. And one of the problems is there are a lot of very tiny little ones already. And they are really hard to spot. So I will keep at it for the next few days, because this is the best way to make a serious dent into slug and snail populations. Now I'm going to feed these to the chickens, and I think it is high time for a secret weapon. When it's all hands on deck, I reach for nematodes. Nematodes are microscopic small organisms that you simply mix into your water can. When applied on the soil, they will enter slugs and snails and kill them from within. Now the beauty about nematodes is that they are already naturally available. It is perfectly food safe, it is safe for wildlife, and is safe for the soil. Nematodes are available in all good garden centers. Now they can be a bit pricey, but then again, so is replacing all of your seedlings and crops. Nematodes are an excellent way of controlling slug and snail population. You can even apply them in advance. In early spring, as soon as the soil warms up, you can start applying them just to stay on top of the problem. And in the end, as a last trick, it is all about gardening smart. Always sow more than you need and always water in the morning. That way the topsoil can dry out again by the evening before the slugs and snails come out. And remember, don't despair. Even when everything gets munched on, eventually you'll get on top. Just keep at it. Keep removing them. Keep applying all of the do's that you've seen in this video. And I promise you, soon enough, slugs and snails won't be that much of a problem anymore. If I missed a trick, I do, I don't, let me know down below in the comments. And while you're there, do leave a like and do subscribe. Thank you for watching, and in the meantime, if you're looking for some more garden content, that's easy. All you have to do is watch this video.